Hello everyone, how you guys doing today? So yes, first video since the car show. If you guys haven't checked that video, make sure you look at my channel. It's really good. It's really good, guys. If you check it out. I took a lot more like actual video footage than I did pictures this time, and that's why it's probably a lot longer as well. And I really like it, so definitely check it out. I had a blast there as always. We got there late, but that's fine. We stayed all the way till closing. Anyway, today's topic is kind of a recent one, and that's to talk about the new BMW M cars. The M3, of course, and the M4. What? M4? It's funny how much, media, just the name alone is getting. I think it's kind of ridiculous. But anyways, yeah, we have some leaked pictures of the new M3 and M4. I remember when the 4 Series Coupe first had its concept renderings, and I thought it looked fantastic. And I was like, wow, this looks seriously good. And then some people made an M4, and well, back then they still called it M3 because they weren't sure. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. And I gotta say, the actual pictures don't disappoint. It really looks extremely good. And it's really cool. And you notice one thing, and this is what I really want to talk about today, is basically, and this is something I'm really proud of BMW what they've been doing, because I've been hearing a lot with the M5 and M6 that M has maybe lost its way, that their cars are getting too heavy and they're not involving enough anymore as they used to be. And well, one thing we know they still will have the good old 6-speed manual, which of course a lot of purists are happy about. It's funny how so many of us talked about it. Me, for instance, I was mentioning that, I really hope they come with a manual, when in retrospect, it really meant nothing to me. I'm not going to go out and buy a new M3 or a new M4. It's well above my price range, and for most other people too. And it's interesting how, we talk about it needs to have a manual, now it has one, and if it hadn't, I can guarantee you a bunch of people would have said, oh no manual to M3, just like they said for the 911 GT3, no manual. How many people complaining are actually going out to buy a GT3 to begin with, It's all about the customers, the ones who are actually buying the car. That's the ones that's really relevant. But as far as engaging, we have a manual, so that really helps. There's also a 7-speed dual clutch, which is, yes, it's faster, but to be honest, in a car like an M3, and when I say M3, I mean both. M3 is just a better name. M4 sounds funny. M3 just sounds cooler, so I'm just going to use M3. Yes, it's about numbers, but at the same time, it's not really a race car, I think when you look at cars and when those extra tenths may count in like a 458 or a real full-on supercar, that I get, because you really want every extra tenth or so. But in, that's a really quick sports car, it's not so important, 0 to 60 under 4.5 seconds, that's quick, but it's by no means the fastest thing out there. So what does it matter if you lose 2 or 3 tenths because you have a manual? So I would just say it's, well worth it for the fun and the involvement in there. But one interesting thing is that we know we have to change back to the 6-cylinder. We had the V8 in between, and now we're back at a 6-cylinder like the E46. And it doesn't have a huge power increase. We're looking at about 430 horsepower, which is about 10-15 horsepower more, which generally for a new model is not a lot. And some people were complaining about that, and hey, there's a Boxster. It's my generation as well. Was my generation, I should say. Whoop, there's my cable. And the reason the power output isn't so much is because they did something much better, and something that I said before I wish they would do, and that's they cut the weight. It's down to 3,300 pounds. And Jeremy Clarkson posted a thing this morning, actually, talking about it setting a record-breaking light. And it's not really record-breaking, I don't know exactly what they meant by that, but when we look at 3,300 pounds, that's less than the E46 was. The E46 was about 3,400, and if you know anything about M cars, or really cars in general, the E46 is often hailed as the best M3 out there. In my opinion, I think it is. To be honest, I think the E30 is overhyped, because it's the first M3. Definitely overpriced. I think it's kind of ridiculous that you pay so much for that car. It is amazing chassis in that car, really great car, but I think there's a tractor. Woo. I do think an E46 is better. That being said, this car is lighter and has about 100 horsepower more, which is pretty awesome. And this is what I said before, and I just said that too, but that this is what BMW should do with their M cars. They should stop focusing on this huge horsepower gains, because when you look at cars like AMG, they have so much power and so much torque that they've had to go to four-wheel drive. Now they all have 4MATICs, and they need it because there's nothing you can do. You can't put that power to the ground. You just get traction slip the entire time. So what do? You give the car four-wheel drive. And that takes away from the involvement. That takes away from the enjoyment. And, you know, I'm glad that BMW stuck with their M cars. They said, no, we're not going to do four-wheel drive. We're going to stick with rear-wheel drive cars. And that's the way it should be. That's the fun way to do it. And, you know, these horsepower wars here, there's kind of a limit to it. When we look at the big three supergiants, you know, the McLaren P1, the LaFerrari, and the 918 Spider, they're all looking at 900 plus horsepower, and that is ridiculous. I mean, you know, go back 10 years with the Enzo and the Carrera GT, they had about 600, and now we get that in an AMG and M car. You know, so our sedans have as much power as the top, best of the best supercars did, and the numbers are just getting so high, you just can't put that power to the ground anymore, and it kind of becomes irrelevant. So rather than do that, you know, take the weight out of the car. If you take 300, 400, 500 pounds out of the car, you don't need to have so much more horsepower than the competitors because of your weightness, you know, your lightness of the car. Like a Lotus, you don't have to do it to that much of an extreme. At the end of the day, you know, people want luxuries in their car. They want power this, they want power that, they want comfort this, 50 settings, memory control, and it all adds weight. I get that. But if, you know, I think, you know, different technologies as we're advancing, we see lots of carbon fiber in the new i3. I'm sure we'll see the same kind of technologies go in the M3, and that helps keep that weight down. And with that, your car's going to accelerate faster. It's going to brake better. It's going to handle better. And even your fuel economy is going to improve. So there's a lot of advantages to having a lighter car. And, you know, that's really, I think, the way to go. I think especially M cars, which are always known for their real driving dynamics, that is, you know, what they should do. And the M3 is an extremely popular car. You know, the RS5 and the C63 have been around. Well, the RS5 not quite so long, but the C63 has. But without a doubt, the M3 has been the most popular of the three, and it's just a really good car. You know, I've always loved M3s. I mean, the BMW as a whole, and I would love to see. And I remember they talked about in some of the M5 videos, they just want to give the car liposuction and just take all that weight out. And I really wanted to see what happens with this M3, what they say about it. And maybe then with their next generation M5, we'll see the same kind of trend, that they take all the weight out of the car and just make it really fun to drive, because that's what M cars are about. They're about the driving experience, you know? I mean, BMW's slogan as a whole is the ultimate driving machine. And you can't really do that if your cars all weigh 4,500 pounds. That's just too heavy. And, I mean, yeah, you have 560 horsepower, but I was watching a videos of the M6 Grand Coupe versus the RS7, and it was a little wet, so, you know, the RS7 had the traction advantage, and it just traction control the whole time, just this, and it didn't really go anywhere. The RS7 blew it away, and, you know, it was wet, and there was leaves and dirt everywhere, so the conditions were not favorable to begin with. But if you have a car that's lighter and doesn't have so much power, it won't be as ridiculous as we know when you're trying to put 560, 700 horsepower to the ground. Woo! And that's kind of the concept. I mean, look at even like a Mini, you know. When people talk about a Mini being a small car, this is not a small car. Look at the original Mini. That thing's small. But it is lightweight still, with 2,500 pounds. That's not a lot. And even with only 170 horsepower, it's a ton of fun. So, you know, you don't need to make big powers to make a car go quick. And remember, this is front-wheel drive, 170. You know, you don't need to be that extreme, but, you know, have the cars be 3,500 pounds, maybe give them 400, 500, and you'll still have the quickest thing out there, and your car will handle and brake better much too. So even on the racetrack, those are all advantages that you'll see. So, you know, with this new M3, I'm really, really excited to see what goes on with it and how it ends up, you know, working out. But it just looks exciting. I'm just really excited for it. I think it looks fantastic. You know, all the numbers that they're putting out right now just sound really, it's music to my ears to really see that maybe this is the good direction that they're going into. And I do hope they get back to that M car, because I mean, to say they have lost their way, I'm not so sure. But I mean, looking at the E92, it is a heavy car, and you know, the M5, M6, they're all big cars, and it would be nice to see them losing a couple $100. Yeah, so that was kind of, I wanted to talk about the M3 a lot, but I also wanted to mention how, you know, lighting up our cars will definitely help us, and I think my voice was funny there. I think I kind of conveyed that message pretty well, and it's kind of a dark day. It looks like it might be raining soon, so I think we can end the video around here. That sounds good. Of course, guys, as always, I appreciate all the support you guys give me. You know, it's amazing. I think I've been doing this for 3 years now, and I didn't really imagine it would grow this quickly, and it's just really amazing, you know, all the support you guys give me. I really appreciate it. But make sure to check my channel if you guys haven't already, and subscribe. Also check out my Facebook page, facebook.com/TheCarVlogger. That is with a V. And I post some things. I don't post a ton of things out there, so don't worry, you're not going to get bombarded with random pictures of cats and that kind of thing. But anyways, guys, yeah, that's just about all I have to talk about for today. So I will see you, of course, next week.